All right, guys, welcome back to the Habit Based Lifestyle Show. I'm your host, Jesse Ewell, and today we got a very special guest on the show, and it is Justin Traveler, and he's a chiropractor in St. George, Utah. And Justin, before we kind of get into today, can you give everybody a little bit of a background or history on you, just from a chiropractic standpoint, like how long you've been practicing, and just a few of those things?
Yeah, I've been practicing in St. George since 2010. I've been practicing for about 15 years. Went to school in St. Louis at Logan University. I have a master's degree in sports science and rehab. I'm certified in acupuncture. And then we also have other services here in the office. We have a softwave, an MLS laser. We've got 4 doctors going in here, a massage therapist, and yeah, it's a good office. But we were running into some problems about some schedules that we were having a hard time keeping full.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about how you came in. You kind of came in specifically for softwave, and kind of getting some help with marketing for that. But let's talk about prior to coming in to Habit-Based Lifestyle. Like, what were you struggling with when it came to your marketing and it came to kind of building up some of those services?
Sure. Well, I mean, just on a background before, I was hesitant, obviously, to come in because we'd used some other programs. One of the programs did actually work pretty well as far as just getting new patients, but I would call them low quality new patients. We weren't doing that. So the company was doing the ads. They would do the scheduling and then they would send them to us. It was a flawed system. Even though we were picking up some new patients, it was hard to close the deals on those patients just because improper expectations, things like that. And then we were kind of shifting, trying to create some other organic advertising that we were hiring companies to help us with. And we've been working with them for 2 months, and I'll be honest, the ROI at that point, after 2 months was, I would say 0. Which they were saying, things are working, and I do think that some of it was helpful that they are doing, and hopefully we will see more of that ROI. But I was just kind of like, hey, I need ROI. Like, we've got a great product here. I want to get things moving, and I want being able to get high quality patients in, pretty quickly. And I knew that there was something out there that would do it. I just couldn't figure out.
So let's go back to kind of like a low quality client. Now, what's the expectation of that person coming in? Are they coming in because of a discount you offer, or like a first time visit?
Well, so it felt like the company was specialized kind of in advertising for software, right?
Right.
And I feel like, this is just me personally, I feel like the ad that they were putting out there was kind of grandiose and spectacular. Like, they were giving the 1% and saying, this is everybody. And then they were, it was kind of like the ad really made the expectation of, this is a one and done, like one treatment, cured for the rest of your life. And so we get a lot of obviously, if so, you're like, hey, this is gonna completely get rid of all my pain in one treatment. And so it was kind of just
They weren't really educated when they came in.
They weren't educated, and the expectation was so high. So they'd come in on a discounted treatment. So we were basically losing money on that first treatment. And then when they found out that, I've actually, sorry to say this to patients, but I actually have to be invested in my health. Like, it's not one and done. I'm going to have to do some other things and change some of my activities, or just if we ask them to do anything beyond that first treatment, the advertising was really just, pumping them up for that one. So it was hard. I would say we were closing still maybe 50%, maybe, of
Okay.
those, which I felt was okay, but the ROI just, we were paying quite a lot for the ads, getting a
Right.
lot of new patients, but not closing, future care on them. That was kind of the toughest part, I felt like.
Right. So like, let me ask you this, man. You obviously you kind of find out about our program, find out about us. Like what was the big, thing that kind of shifted with you and like why you decided to go with us?
Well, really, when you explained it, your program, the explanation was kind of what I had envisioned, something that we could build organically that would be all, like it felt like everything that the other company was doing. I appreciated the new patient, but it almost felt like they were theirs. And then
Right.
they would kind of transfer them over, and they'd come in, but there was still that contact, like they were contacting them, not us. And we really, anyway, and then the communication. So when you explained to me the program that we would build it organically, that it was just what I had envisioned, what I wanted to do, like build something rather than being given something that really wasn't ours. And I
Right.
think that's probably the best. I wanted to build something that would be ours, that
Okay.
we could say this is us rather than that's them and they sent you here.
Right. So, you've been in the program, what, I think a little over 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks.
Almost 3 weeks, yeah.
And like let's talk a little bit about, what was your schedule 3 weeks ago? Um,
Well, our softwave schedule had dwindled down to very few. In fact, I remember one day we had like 2 softwave patients, and that was when I'd said to my office manager, I'm like, I don't know what to do. This obviously isn't working, but I didn't know what to do. She wanted to go back to the other guys. She's like, hey, we were getting new patients, with that company at least, and I was like, it just didn't sit well. I mean,
right.
again, the quality of it. So that was kind of where we were at. And then, yeah, so you wanted me to answer that question. My schedule was pretty full chiropractic wise, Softwave was not. One of our youngest doc was having a hard time filling up the schedule, and our second youngest, I should say second newest in the office, was having a tougher time too. But my biggest again was Softwave. It wasn't, we were bleeding money, right? Because we still had a payment on the machine and it just wasn't working.
Okay, so like let's go to fast forward 2.5 weeks. Like let's talk about what you've seen. We don't have to get into specifics, but like what have you seen just from, your social media to then, what's the impact this is now having in your office?
Well, I mean, in all honesty, and Jesse is not paying me to say this, I've been like, it's been miraculous almost to just see the energy that it's brought into the office. That's why, I mean, we can talk some numbers, and I'm sure you'll ask me about those, but it's just hard to completely quantify it because, when you've been in practice here since 2010, I had a pretty good patient base, right? So people have heard my name and knew who I was. We had patients that were coming in, but it just felt like we had really plateaued. I mean, and that it was hard to build anything above that. And so since then, I mean, Softwave today, I mean, I just made the comment today, we doubled our Softwave. We were almost completely packed on Softwave. All the other doctors' schedules are picking up as well. My biggest complaint to Jesse now is like, I don't know what to do. People are finding my personal information it's building it, and I'm getting like completely bombarded. So now my biggest problem is setting boundaries with saying, hey, you know, we still need to have like
Call the office and schedule.
yeah, there's got to be a method to the madness. You can't just like come in. But I mean, just even chiropractic wise, I'm completely booked for the rest of this week. I think I had one. Today's a Tuesday. I have one, like probably a cancellation that happened on Friday. So I literally have one opening for this week. Next week I have very few openings. I'm double booked. My girls are killing me right now. They're like booking me. They're finding every crack they can put a patient in, and my lunch is down to 30 minutes. I used to have an hour, and my mornings are starting 30 minutes earlier. I went 30. So I've got to control that, right? I know I need, lifestyle wise, I need to try to hone that in, but needless to say, we're getting bombarded
That's
with
phase
patients.
2, man.
Yeah, we're being bombarded with patients, chiropractic wise and softwave wise. It's picking it up, and as you know, as you say, a rising tide lifts all boats. So now, as I'm looking off to the side and I can see our schedule from today, it's pretty remarkable to. It's hard to quantify, right? Because like to put a dollar amount.
So
to
we talked a little bit about quantifying. Like, can you say like, hey, this is about how much this has brought in just in this last, like, you know, two and a half weeks?
I would say, I mean, realistically, I would probably say we've seen about a $15,000, $15K increase
Okay.
in revenue between everything. I'm most happy about the softwave.
Right.
I'm most concerned about the chiropractic growth. I need to like figure out where to put everybody now and how to control that. But yeah, I'd probably say about $15,000 in increased revenue, just directly because of this program.
And that's awesome, man. So like, kind of one of the things that I'm hearing is not only are you able to get people in specifically for softwave, but some of the people coming in are taking chiropractic. Some of the people who are probably already doing your chiropractic at some point are now jumping over to softwave. And so they're kind of like filling both sides up rather than like just one. And so it's really benefiting you kind of in all areas, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's just growing all the way around. I would say outside of controlling, I do have to deal with my kids. They get home and they're like, you're a teenage girl with your social media. You're like, boom. And everybody's like, your dad's all over. And I'm like, yeah, this is cool. See, dad's still hip. They say dad don't say hip. That's not cool. But anyway.
Let me ask you this, man. So like, you know, we kind of talked about financial results, you know, some of those things. Like what's an unexpected result that you've gotten out of this program since you've been in it?
I would say the most unexpected, again, I think is just the energy. You know, when I think it's rejuvenated my desire to keep practicing the way that I, you know, I hate to say high volume, but you know, you start to get a little bit tired, and now it's just it's fun. It's fun to see people. It's fun to see people commenting. It's fun to get teased about something new, you know, about the growth that we're getting, and so I would just say that just the overall energy in the office has just been elevated, and I think, yeah, now and again, I'm only 3 weeks in, so I'm looking at Jesse going, dude, now you got to fix this problem. The new problem is that there's too many, and so
yeah, now we got some growing pains.
Yeah, we're going through some growing pains. That's probably the biggest issue, I think.
That's good, man. Well, let me say this, like, you know, we talk to a lot of doctors that have softwave. Like, what would you tell someone who maybe is another doctor that was on the fence about possibly doing this program? Like, what would your advice be to them, man?
Well, I would just say, you know, this is what's worked best for me. Now I'm not going to say it doesn't take work. It's kind of like with my patients, you know, mean, when Jesse talked to me about this, he's like, I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to do everything for you. That's it's taking some work, but it's work that we've seen almost immediate results. That's what I think, that's what's been a shock too, was that almost every other program, even the one that we were getting new patients, it took a little bit to kind of pack it full. Whereas this one, and I think it's just because the energy's elevated. So I would say expect to, do what you say, dedicate the time that's necessary into doing it. But I mean, for me, this is probably one of the biggest, fastest changes that I've seen, like in 15 years of practicing. I mean, I've tried a lot of different things, and a lot of things have worked, but temporarily, and it takes a little while to feel it, and then it seems to go on cruise control. But I've never seen anything work quite this quickly. So
Yeah.
I would tell them, do what you say, if they're going to do it, but get in and do it, man. You're going to like the results. I know I
Yeah,
have.
that's awesome. So tell me kind of like the difference in lead quality you're getting now versus the lead quality you were getting. Like, what's the type of client you're having coming in?
Well, what the best part is, and again, with softwave, it's kind of one of those things where I'm one of those control freaks. I think you might be too, right? I'm always like nervous to pass the patient off, because I know I love the patient. I want to give them the best care, but I'm already full, and so I've got to push it over. And what's nice is that, for our younger doc that's helping us with softwave, or the techs who are doing softwave, a lot of their questions have already been answered. They're already sold on, because they're like, Dr. Traveler already sent me a message or talked to me. I already know what's going on. So they're basically, the patient's coming in and saying, I already know what's going on. So whatever you tell me, I'm going to trust. That's what Dr. Traveler wants to do. And every once in a while, they'll stick their head in if they have little questions, but it's nice
So
because,
your clients coming in educated,
yes,
they come in, they already know, like, and trust you. So it's kind of like, hey, just tell me what to do, and I'll do
that's it. Tell me what I need to do. And I already know that I'm going to have to come back, and that there's going to be a little work involved, and I'm ready to invest that into my health. And that's the kind of patients we want anyway, right? I don't want to care about their health more than they do.
Right. I think the cool thing is like, although, I'm a proponent of Facebook ads and things like that. Like, I would never talk bad about them, but I think the difference in the type of client you're getting is you're getting an educated client who already knows you, likes you, and trusts you, versus someone who's not educated. And the only thing that they're educated on is like, hey, this first time you come in, we'll give you a special deal. People are coming in now saying like, hey, what do I need to get better? And they trust whatever you say. And so you kind of went from maybe selling like one at a time to selling what they actually need to get help.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. I mean, they're ready to get going. And so it's made it easier on my techs and the other docs that are helping with softwave, or even chiropractic. They're like, hey, I know you're associated with that office, and it's an educated patient. And that just makes such a big difference.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, hey, I appreciate you being on, and look forward to watching you grow, and and just watching you succeed even more in our program. And just want to thank you, man, for coming on today.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right, man. Thank